I think that's trivia.
You're right. Hermie is correct.
The elf was not named Herbie. Because I remember this from a long time ago. I don't know how this topic came up, but yeah, it's Hermie, Hermey, not Herbie, or well, it might be Hermie, but it's not Herbie. Wow, someone is really on top of this.
This is too funny. Now I gotta Google this. Oh my lord, this is funny.
No, just do K3FEF. Actually, if you go to K3FEF.com, I think it takes you to the receiver.
No, I meant the friggin' dentist name.
It's true. It's Hermie. That's now that I think of it, it's right. It's not Herbie. It's Hermie. Hermey.
Oh, that's right. And I was going to say before, Dr. Gapushtin. That's the funniest one.
You know, who says that amateur radio is not educational? You learn more on this frequency than you will on 7200. Well, there's a statement.
Dude, I have had more fun on amateur radio. People that think it's like old men talking about apple pie and, prostate exams. I've had a great and fun time on any band and frequency I go. I don't know if I steer the focus that way, but it is a shit ton of fun. And the character's name, who did the voice of Hermie, you're right, it is Hermie. His name was Paul Soles, like the sole of your shoe, but spelled S-O-L-E-S. That is too funny, man.
See that? We talk about more interesting stuff than just, pickleball and rhubarb pie.
Yeah, nobody really needs to talk about capacitance and reactance all the time, and inductance and impedance, and, this is what's fun. Talking about Hermie and the abominable snowman. And just think of how much a dick Santa was. Santa can't even be Santa today. Think of how much of a bully and a dick Santa was in the old cartoons. Being racist towards Rudolph and making fun of him and bullying him. What a great cartoon. It wasn't a cartoon, it was claymation, but you know what I mean. What a great show.
Listen, Santa's greatest thrill back then was having kids sit on his lap. Right there's an issue.
No, but watch it. They're all making fun of Rudolph, right? Everyone's laughing. Santa's being a real douche. And then the coach, I forgot who the coach was. He was one of the other reindeer's fathers, being the gymnasium, typical jock guy. Great times.
Can anyone tell just how traumatized Ernie, not Herbie or Hermie, was? Ernie was as a youth when he saw that show. This is revealing. This 3873 is very revealing to it. It's like a spyglass into the soul of the participants here.
Like Phil said, like PHL said, that's how we grew up in Queens, man. You had to be those people, otherwise you were Rudolph.
Wow, you were either Santa or you were Rudolph. How prophetic.
Good evening, gents. I'm getting out of here. Catch you later, N2LJO.
Wow, we couldn't even keep George's interest. We need to start talking about amplifiers and antennas.
And squealing Icos.
6 yellow 100 radios. Good hearing you, George.
Same here, 73 Clark.
All right, if you want to talk about amplifiers, tell me if this one sounds all right. I just built it today.
Well, now hold it. That's a trick question. Amplifiers are not supposed to sound like anything.
Right, they have no sound. Good call. You beat me to it, Clark.
No, because he was trying to see just how far gone we were mentally.
No, not at all. I just put this thing together today. hopefully I'm not overdriving it. Hopefully it sounds okay.
Well, okay, so millions of questions here. What rig are you using to drive the amplifier?
Well, the exciting rig is a Yaesu FT1000 stock. It's running 2 watts of carrier into this amplifier, and I'm seeing about 250, 235, somewhere around there, carrier coming out of the amplifier. I'm mostly interested in if it's clean, if it doesn't sound overdriven. I realize I'm driving it with a rice box, not a plate modulated rig.
Holy cow, is that like 20 dB of gain then, from 2 watts to 200? That's pretty amazing. No, it sounds fine. It would, we're probably not going to hear you with 2 watts, put right to the antenna. But no, I think that you did a good job with that amp.
All right, thank you. It's a kit amp. It's a Mercury 3S. Maybe you've heard of it. A fellow down in Florida, KM3KM is his call. He markets them. He can only sell them as a kit that gets him around all the FCC type requirements that he would have to go through. It's a solid state LS MOS or LDMOS amplifier. It does 1200 watts PEP. I figured 200 or 225 on the carrier would be safe on AM, and if it's not distorting, it's not going into any kind of a fault or any kind of a trouble here, so it must be all right with it. I'm seeing peaks around the URI peaks around 1280 watts on the meter. It's a pretty nice little unit. Went together in 3 or 4 hours. Just have to have some decent soldering skills. That's all. All right, thank you, Clark. KB3RQU.
Well, funny you should bring up that Mercury amp, because a friend of mine just ended up getting one of those, and he said something along the lines of 10 watts input gets you, 800 watts PEP out, and he's driving it with a Yaesu FT2000, so... yeah, those amplifiers are really getting a lot of people's attention, but... No, your amp sounds good. You got a good signal in here. Here, I'm in southwestern Connecticut, right on the Connecticut-New York border, 15 northeast of New York City, and you're putting in a good 20 over signal. So, good job with the amp. You should be very happy with it.
All right, so far I am. Thank you for the check there. You guys all have good signals here into Altoona, Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania. You're all 10 and 20 over down here. All right, I'll let you get back to your conversation, but I heard you mention amps. I thought I'd give this one a try. Thanks again. KB3RQU, Scott in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we were trying to get away from that discussion, but sounds good here in Long Island as well, KD2BRN.
Hey, I heard I think a station in Columbus. I'm going to turn it over to you in a second. Don't go away. But, Scott, before you go, how far are you from Centralia?
Oh, as the crow flies, maybe 90 miles. You mean the town with the underground coal fire that's been going on for 25 or 30 years.
Oh, really? Oh, that's weird. I didn't know about that. It wasn't in any of the... It wasn't in any of the tourism brochures for Centralia. Yeah, no, that's when you said Central PA, I just thought, all right, well, what do I know about? I know State College, meaning in that area. State College, Harrisburg. I've been to the Hershey Museum or Hershey Chocolate Factory. So I'm just trying to think of, Central PA stuff. All right, I won't keep you. I know you want to go, get the most out of your amp. So, like I said, good job with that, and thanks for jumping in. Stop in again soon, N1BCG.
All right, now I'm in Altoona. It's about 35 miles southwest of State College, going towards Pittsburgh, kind of. And there is a town in Pennsylvania called Centralia, and they've had an underground coal mine fire. It's a ghost town now. Of course, they had to evacuate all the homes, but there's ports in the ground, air shafts in the ground, where the smoke just billows up out from an underground fire that's been going on for years. And when you mentioned Centralia, that's what I thought you were referring to. All right, I'll let you go ahead. I also heard that station out in Columbus. I'll let you go ahead and pick it up with him. KB3RQU. Thanks again.
All right, Scott, have a great evening. And full disclosure, I was familiar about Centralia. There's a number of YouTube videos. And by the way, for folks who are listening on 3873 on the WebSDR Direct, that's well worth looking up. If you do a Google search for Centralia, like the words central and L-I-I-A, you know what I'm trying to say. Pennsylvania, it's actually a very interesting story of a coal mine fire that's been going on forever in an abandoned village. If you're into that kind of stuff, Centralia, Pennsylvania. All right, Columbus, Ohio, did we hear that right or did we not?
His station set up there with the FDR thing on it. I said, let me go out and see what's going on and check on some of the guys I haven't heard in a long, long time there for sure. But you guys are sounding great here in Columbus, Ohio. Well, we'll watch a little bit of the game here, so I'll probably go back out to Wild Finish and watch a little bit more there before I go to bed because I got a big, big data file there for sure. But once again, this is Whiskey 8 Delta Mike X-Ray Kevin here on the Viking 2 in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow, Kevin on a Viking. DMX. There's a great call sign. There's a great suffix. DMX. Herbie, the dentist, Elf. Are you hearing Kevin in Columbus?
It's Hermie, and yes, I am. And DMX was a band in like the '90s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the band took a big flip. No, we had a little bit of snow earlier today and stuff, guys, but it kind of calmed down to over at Park Car about there. But the band took a little poop here for a minute, man. I kind of lost some of your transmission there for sure. I'm on a long wire, but it's not pointing in the direction it's supposed to be there. The G5RB is, but not in your area there. But I'll get some reflections off of that there for sure. But guys, I just jumped out there. Want to say hello to you. It's good to hear you out there. And you guys something good work out there for sure. Thanks for letting me come forward out there for sure. Probably be back down here again probably later on in the hour in the morning there for sure. Well, Whiskey 8 Delta Mike X-Ray, back to you.
Oops, who was that? Was that back to Hermie or to Clark? Uh-oh.
Hey, I'm going to jet out of here. I'll see you guys later. W2BT.
Billy, really, are we not keeping your interest?
I want to watch a couple of YouTube videos here, and, you know, I'm spacing out a little.
Oh, you want to check out more of those adult versions of the Christmas claymation specials, yeah. Or you want to go catch that, what is that, The Big Game, because we're not allowed to say Super Bowl on the air because of trademark restrictions. Okay. Enjoy your evening. Have the finest business evening ever from N1BCG.
Thanks, Clark.
Take care, Bill. PD2BRN. Enjoy your night.
Okay, I thought MJE, but it was a low copy, but maybe Hermie or I on the second round can pull you in. Who was that station?
about 1 hour away from Altoona.
An hour away from Altoona, KC3MJE, was it? Oh, NJE, okay. All right, very good. Yeah, the signal, sometimes you come in great and sometimes not so, but I think that's has a lot more to do with band conditions than your station. All right, Hermie, I need a second set of ears. Were you hearing him at all?
No, I got him in and out, Clark. He's got a decent signal. I'm just not really getting a lot of modulation on this end. I was trying to adjust the EGC so I could try to pull it out, but he's got a nice carrier sticking in there in the window, but I can't make out a lot of what he's saying there.
Well, that's not to be discouraging because, see, at this point, we're at what? Almost 8:30, and we're in February, so the band is really kind of not right at this point. If it were 8:30 midsummer, you'd probably be at 20 over right here, so I wouldn't take the lack of copyability to heart at all. So, one more time, so, what was your name again? Wow, I heard that. SciComm 7300. You actually have one of the most popular rigs today. So, based on the number of people who have been buying the 7300, you're in good company. In fact, the AM Rally AM operating event, which was last weekend, I don't know this year what the statistics were, but for the past several years before this year, the ICOM 7300 was the most popular rig used for AM contacts during the AM Rally, the AM operating event. So if you like operating AM, you made a very good choice in rigs.
Well, I can tell the propagation is changing dramatically. I'm kind of yelling into my C104 that has a final 5-dot element in it. And as I had said, I don't know if you heard this or not, but this is my first AM transmission on the radio. It's my first AM transmission in commercial radio about 4 decades ago.
All right. Well, I heard the Heil mic element and a D104 and all that. Ordinarily, I'd say that Lash Up is doing great, but yes, the band conditions are kind of all over the place right now.
Well, that's fine, sir. I'm just glad someone can hear me, and don't know your location. I know somebody from Connecticut, and I'm taking call back.
All right, I'm the one from Connecticut, and it's N1BCG November 1 Bravo Charlie Golf. N1BCG November 1 Bravo Charlie Golf. Well, they call me a variety of things, but you could try Clark, C-L-A-R-K, Charlie Lima Alpha Romeo Kilo, as in Superman, but I never hear that. Wow. Wow, Captain Equinox. There you go.
Well, look, gentlemen, I'm going to put you down in my long break. It's exciting news to me. We talk about
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in, and hopefully, we'll hear you again sometime soon. We're it's a bunch of folks who hang out here on 3873 pretty much every day, starting in the late afternoon into the evening. So there's usually always some conversation you can jump into. So feel free to do so. And thanks for trying out AM. Have a great evening. N1BCG. All right, and just for reference, we didn't allow you to talk. We encourage that. My thing is, my favorite thing actually on the frequency is hearing new folks check in, especially people who are using AM early on, or even better yet, for the first time. So, I mean, I have and I'm speaking just for me, of course, but I have a very good time talking with the folks who are on the frequency regularly. I get that, because, it's like having your friends sitting around and just having a nice conversation and stuff. But what makes it special is when people who are new that we haven't talked to, or maybe folks who we haven't talked to in a while, get on also. So it is never really deserving to say thank you, for letting you in. It's like we encourage that. So actually the gratitude needs to be directed to you for taking the initiative to say, wow, these guys all know each other. Should I try to get in on their QSO? Am I going to be accepted? How's it going to go? Are they going to bite my head off for interrupting? No. It's encouraged. So thank you for doing that. All right. Have a great evening. N1BCG.
Thank you, sir. If I'm anything, I'm encouraging. Jump that again. 7-3.
See, there you go, Hermie or Herbie or whatever, the elf with the dental degree, or I'm sorry, he was studying to be a dentist. That's how you handle it. How about that?
Yeah, no, that was great. I was getting a lot of what he was saying the last bunch of go-arounds, but your antenna system is apparently oriented better for where he is. But yeah, I thought I heard him say this was his first AM contact or something. So I guess he's got you as his Hyman splitter for AM. I don't know. But yeah, no, very good. And I think he said he was running some kind of half-wave NFET or something. So he popped up at times here. But it was, it was not enough for me to try to get into the QSO. But no, I agree with you, man. It is hard because we always fast key and everybody's goofing around having fun. But it is nice to have a newer station get in there. So as always, your professionalism is a good thing out there, Clark. Because if there were other people here, probably. Well, some people probably wouldn't even heard him, and then other people would have just ignored him. So, nice job.
Oh, I'm so piss weak.
Yeah, did you hear that comment about Hyman splitter? Holy cow. In regards to new AM users?
Oh, I don't know about that. I gotta check tuning here.
Well, I've been a fly on this radio outhouse wall. I've been doing useful work here rather than flapping my yap on the radio.
See, that's always the thing. If there's good conversation going, you can have us on that living room Philco, the floor standing, what is it, tombstone-shaped radio, while you putter about the ham shack getting productive things done and leave the entertainment to us.
Well, that Philco just happens to be out in the Hulk trailer in the studio room. It's something I pieced together from a Philco cabinet and a high-end Philco radio out of the 30s. Has 3 shortwave bands, tunes up to 22 megs, and I put a muting circuit in it. I used it as a clear receiver. It's actually pretty good for what it is.
Oh, I'll bet. I used to, in the 90s, I used to go up to upstate New York to Glens Falls, right where IFR Bill used to be, Hostile Bill, except that I would visit a friend of mine from college and his girlfriend, who ironically I dated in college, but he ended up scoring bigger than I did. Anyway, we all got along, and I'd go up on Fridays after work and hang out with them at their house, and we would go skiing Saturdays and Sundays, and it was huge fun. But he actually had a radio like that. I don't remember which brand it was, but he had a floor standing, nice wooden receiver from back in the day, and it was like that, AM and a bunch of shortwave bands. It said Police right above the AM band and stuff like that. It was a real hoot to tune around on. And I remember listening to, I think it was 75 meters or 40 or something like that. I wasn't really into ham radio at the time, but I knew where the ham bands were. And I remember tuning in some of the ham radio operators, and holy cow, that receiver, that could fill the house with sound. If you had the right ham radio op on, with some big audio, that radio, it was jukebox like. So I imagine it was just like that. Remarkable design from back in the day in one BCG.
Yep. Yeah, well, depends. The Zenith sets are interesting. With that clock dial. I've got one that's some old buzzard rack mounted. It was missing all but one tube, and I got the thing working. And I put, you already had a muting circuit in it. You put a BFO in it, which worked, and then it quit working. And it's amazing what you can do with that stuff, because a lot of that, was repurposed in the Depression era for receivers, because people just couldn't afford them. But they actually work quite well. But I've worked on quite a few of them. But I take it a step further, just like I de-qualify various AM ham radio transmitters. You look at the audio circuitry of a lot of these things. The highs are purposefully rolled off with capacitors across things. There's no negative feedback around the audio section, and on and on and on and on. The filter capacity is kind of light. So you go through it, I had quite a graveyard of old RCA-type color TV set chassis, and I'd strip off all the parts. And those things would yield some good-sized can electrolytics. And, yep, you just get rid of the really tired, leaky, especially the wet electrolytic capacitors. You put in something of real condensity, and then you have something, son.
Oh, when you said RCA TV, first thing that popped into my mind was the power transformer. That's right, folks. If you like experimenting, don't waste your time with those intermittent service transformers. Oh, no. Get yourself a big old color television, Zenith, RCA, etc., color television power transformer with CCA's transmitter company, CCS rating. That's right, continuous commercial service. Yep. Big old color TVs with millions of tubes in it and a badass power transformer designed to provide full power continuously. Even if the person watching TV put on some show on 9, 10 o'clock at night and fell asleep with the TV running as the Indian head and the test pattern came on, and then overnight, and that TV would still be cranking out the full picture and sound and everything like that by 7:30 in the next day, and the transformer would still be in good shape. Well, when that TV went to the junkyard, you had to make sure you grab that and cut the leads as long as possible, because that transformer, that RCA color television transformer, trust me from first-hand experience, that would be the gift that would give over and over and over in one BCG.
At 20 minutes before the top of the hour, this is WA1HLR.
I'll throw my 2 cents in. KD2BRM, what's up, Tim?
How you doing, Ernie? It is Ernie, if my memory serves me correct, eh?
No, that's Hermie.
Hermie the worm?
No, you got it, Tim. I know my name always escapes you like fart gas. You've said that a bunch of times. I know you know my call, but yeah, just saying hello. I'm going to go grab a beer, so don't let me interrupt you and Clark, but figured I'd say hello. You and I never have this good a condition in between our shack, so good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yes, conditions are high fine business, and you're coming in like a turd of hurdles, you know. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I've been going through a number of music files on my computer that I use for doing the radio shows and whatnot. I've recorded a lot of stuff on various SD cards as the go-between between YouTube and my computer. And in the earlier days of trying to get a hang on the timing, you know, you'd tend to let a little slide by where you may have a little glitch at the beginning, and then the tune starts, either that or when you kill it, you might wait a little bit too long. So, yes, nothing more pain in the ass when you're getting ready to do a perfect segue and it gets blown because there's a second of dead air because the file you clicked on has 1.5 seconds of nothing. So I've been going through all those old files, and it just brings me back to the memories of when I was recording those things. Well, with Cool Edit Pro loaded on the computer, I've been just going through them and bringing the levels up if they're too low, and cleaning up all the dead air and getting rid of all the inconsistencies. And I've been at it all afternoon. I'm not quite done with one particular file folder, but my God, my neck hurts, my eyes hurt, you know, I'm just a hurting unit. But I remember, I'm always one to record off the wall stuff. And, you know, one time I got a bug up my ass to record summer camp songs. And then when you said Hermie, there's one tune, you know, these young girls singing Hermie the Worm.
Okay, couple of funny things here. Yeah, Cool Edit. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with that. As a matter of fact, we use that for our company exclusively for all the music formats on our system. Yep, everything is normalized to not 100%, but 95%. Lots of reasons for that. 0.1 second of dead air at the beginning because some players aren't able to start playing songs when they really are right at the beginning of the file. So there's 0.1 there, and there's 0.1 at the end, and that all seems to work great. Yep. Cool Edit Pro. You know, and whoever that guy Peter Quisgard is, I'm trying to say without laughing. I'll buy him a beer. Anyway, hey Tim, you know your getting on the air reminded me of something. In fact, it was just last night. You indirectly were the result of me waking up this morning laughing. I literally woke up this morning laughing, and it was due to something you never said. Okay, I'll explain. So the dream was surreal. You had a like a barbecue party at HLR Mountain, and there were a whole bunch of folks there. And you had the barbecue going, and you were making steaks, and someone went up to you and said, "Wow, Tim, the seasoning is amazing. The steak tastes delicious." And you said, "It's not the seasoning that's responsible for the taste." And I jumped in and I said, "Does it have something to do with what you cook with?" And you laughed and you said, "Exactly." And I started laughing, and the next thing I know, I was woken up.
No, that's because I used some old tires.
I think it was cooking with fart gas.
Could be. Are you familiar with a band called the Da Youpers?
The Da Youpers? Not off the top of my head.
It's a group from Michigan's Upper Peninsula. People that live up there are known as Youpers.
Oh, okay. I just got into a discussion with someone about the Hooters, who were from Philadelphia, and Pinhead from Boston, but not those guys.
Yeah, that's DAYOOPERS, Da Youpers. They did a parody, a Christmas Carol parody called Rusty Chevrolet.
Okay, something's becoming familiar here. Keep going.
Yep. Well, when Marcy and I were passing through the Upper Peninsula to gain access to Canada, when heading back from Wisconsin after meeting the family, her dad, or the rest of her brothers, her sister, and all that. Rather than take I-80 to I-90, we went up into Canada through the Upper Peninsula. So we stayed the night there before crossing the border. And, they have a trendy little tourista gift shop, and in there was a rack of CDs from the Da Youpers, so I bought a couple of them. But you can find the stuff on YouTube. One tune is named Logging Queen. It's hilarious. And there's another one entitled If She Farts on the First Date.
Oh my goodness.
It's Tron humor all the way. If one could play music on ham radio, I'd figure a way to patch it in.
Wow, so this is like Fire Sign Theater material.
I never knew those in Fire Sign Theater to sing songs.
No, but it sounds like this would be right up their alley.
Oh, probably. Or probably, as some people are saying these days, instead of probably. So, yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard one of my, you probably did when I was up at 500 kilowatts, my usual radio shows. You know, that's the kind of stuff I play, even on the low power FM.
Man, you're really duking it out with J.P. Ferraro for unique and eclectic formats.
Yeah. The JP is interesting. Alan is going to be... He's got a new frequency that had been polluted with Brother Scare, but Brother Scare's ministry pulled out. He's got a 60-meter frequency on 4790. And the transmitters... decided rather than to put some Bible beater on there ranting and raving away or some right-wing political horseshit, he wants to do it all entertainment, all music. You know, he said one of the biggest complaints he gets about shortwave is listening to all the Bible beaters from other, listeners. And to me, that's driven away a lot of listeners. So this is going to be interesting. And he's going to be testifying now. There's a guy named Bill. He's got a show called The Melting Pot. So Alan is calling it Radio Angela in honor of his wife, Angela. And it'll be on sporadic, I think, this coming week. We'll be on from between 7 and 9, doing some testicling. Not real high power, though, but, the antenna's not, what I would say is the best antenna, but it does put out a signal. It is heard, and he's been getting reports from all over. So, aside from various music programs, there's going to be block hours of WXNZ, the low power station I built, and J.P. Ferraro's station, so you'll hear it all there.
My goodness, and is there a block of Marion's Attic also?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there you go. Who would need any other frequency then?
Yep. Well, we'll see where it goes.
My goodness. N1 BCG, because I think I need to say that this hour.
This WA1H and LR and getting around to the RCA color TV set power transformers. They're built differently than the older style black and white TV power transformers that are built more like your usual transformer where, you take the end bell off and you can see the bleedings and all that. The RCA type transformers were all impregnated with some kind of, it's not rubber, but it's some kind of high temperature material. So they're pretty tightly sealed up. And I think they're spec to run at a lot hotter temperature because, for the TV set that's running all night long with its owner zoning out in the chair and the Indian head test pattern going... Some of these TV sets was rather hot, and there weren't that many failures.
Well, exactly. I remember rescuing a transformer from a discarded TV. This thing was enormous. And I remember seeing it sticking out of the top of a dumpster at a construction site. So it didn't come from the construction site. Somebody decided that was a great place to throw it out. And I thought, this is a great find. Ran home, got my tools. I didn't even have a driver's license at the time. I had to come back on a bicycle with a backpack with tools, wire cutters, everything. And it took the better part of an hour to get all the good stuff out of there. But I ended up getting some amazing stuff. But the prize, the big prize, was that power transformer, and I still have it to this day. That power transformer is in modulator duty as a modulator power supply, and it's the damnedest thing. No matter what load I put on it, it never gets hot. God bless those color TV transformers.
Yep. Well, RCA made a lot of chassis, and there were two different flavors. There was the full-wave bridge model cap input filter, and that would deliver about 400 volts, actually a little bit more than that under a lighter load. And the other flavor is a voltage doubler type. The full-wave voltage doubler would do the same thing, deliver 400 volts. And I've got a selection of both. I think I told you the tale about how my second ex-wife, she and a friend of hers had a used apparel store that they got together and got going downtown Scouttown on the second floor of a building that was adjacent to a local TV business called Skowhegan Electronics, which had been around for years. And the guy that ran Skowhegan Electronics would take in old RCA color TV sets and whatnot in trade. And he trashed the cabinets, get rid of the crit, and in this other adjacent building, which he had access to, he just tossed them down in a big heap in the basement. So the pile just kept growing and growing. And then that building sold, and the new owner wanted to jack up the rental for my second ex-wife and her friend, and they couldn't afford it, and they told the TV guy that he had to clean out all that stuff. So I went down there, looked at it, and I offered, so I wound up with at least 25 or more color TV set chassis.
Good Lord, what a score.
Yep. Not only that, you ever check out all the power resistors in there, and the high capacity electrolytics, various other pieces of iron and whatnot. Of course, you take all the tubes out. It was a real quick way to remove components from the PC boards.
Yeah, a pair of pliers.
No. That's Cro-Magnon. Well, you'd remove all the iron to make it light. And you'd flip the thing over, break out the propane fart gas torch, and wave it over the PC board until the traces are melting and the solder's melting and all that. Flip it upside down and drop it on the ground. Boom, and a bunch of components will just drop right out.
Oh, well, that's fine if you've got one of those. If you were my age, then a pair of pliers is the only way to get that stuff out.
Yeah, well, as far as the hardware, well, back in the middle 60s, I met up with a guy in junior high school. He's my oldest friend. Unfortunately, he passed away a while ago, Kenny. Yeah, I lived in Nassau, Chewits then. So for a while, every Saturday, we'd pedal our asses on our bicycles to the city of Beverly Dump and get there before the scrappers were there, and we'd start stripping all the old black and white TV sets and radios and all kinds of stuff. Whatever we could get our hands on that was electronic, load up our saddle bags, our bicycles, we had the baskets up front and the saddle, the side baskets and all that. We'd be heavily laden with iron and tubes and all kinds of stuff. We'd go back to his house and divvy up the booty. Those were quite the times.
Boy, I remember, reminds me of this weekend. There was a school trip to Pennsylvania. It was supposed to be a canoe trip, you know, father-son canoe trip. So we'd go for the weekend camping to this place way out along the Delaware River, and a friend of mine, he and I were both interested in radio and electronics and all that. And while all the other kids were like busy, you know, melting plastic forks and watching the flaming plastic go zip, zip, zip down on the ground, we were actually across the state highway there. Turns out there was this huge junkyard filled with cars and stuff like that. Well, that was the first year. The second year, we were ready for it. We brought tools with us. So we went sneaking in there, and we found all these cars, and he got himself a Volkswagen tail light, and I went into this one Chevrolet, and I'm trying to pull out this AM-only car radio and stuff, and just as I got it out, which I can't believe I was able to do, just as I got it out, I'm walking out of the car, and I'm showing my friend, look, I got the radio out. And all of a sudden, we hear this gunshot go off. And we hear this guy yell in the distance, hey, you kids! And we ran like our lives depended on it. And he shot up in the air again to scare us off. Ran through the woods, ran across the state highway there, and rejoined everybody else in the tents. And we had to ditch our stuff in the bushes because we couldn't show up in the camp there, you know, holding a car radio and a Volkswagen tail light, because people would be like, what's that? Where'd you get it? And then if the crazy guy with a shotgun showed up asking who's stealing parts off of cars, it would look pretty obvious. So we had to ditch all that stuff in the bushes and then just show up like, oh, we just had to go pee. Well, actually, in reality, we pissed ourselves from the guy shooting his shotgun in the air. But anyway, so yeah, and then the next day when the guy was gone and no one had any thoughts about anything, we would go grab the booty that we had liberated from the junkyard, roll it up in our sleeping bags and stuff. And then no one would be the wiser until we got home and were able to take the stuff out and finally check it out. N1BCG.
Yeah, I was wondering, this WA1H yell on. Yep. Yeah. Just gonna watch a TV show with my wife. I may. And I really haven't, you know, Sunday's a day to play ham radio, and I really haven't done much. I've been pretty busy with my relabeling thing. Yeah. Well, I don't use CD players. I use a freeware program called Zara Radio. It's a radio automation program. That's what's running the LPFM. It's pretty flexible. And you can set it up as far as overlap time and fade time and all that. So I have about less than a second of overlap and fade. So with everything edited just so, and you load the tracks in the order and everything you want it to run, and you click the mouse to start it, and it just runs without a hitch. I like that. But anyway, yeah, the RCA-type color TV power transformers. Well, God, I don't know what happened to all of them, but I use them in various things, you know. A friend of mine in the next town has gone a DX40 along with quite a few other things. And I had this DX40. I got it from a guy that was known as the Doy Boy, who had his own pirate FM station. The PC actually busted him, but that's a totally other story. And he was trying to pilot, I think, on shortwave, and he had a DX40. And his spelling skills were not the best. He gave me the transmitter. The power transformer had burned up, because the DX40 is known for piss-weak transformers. And on it, he had a label that said Control Center. Only he spelled it CONTROLESENTER.
My goodness.
So I took that thing and I mounted up a 400-volt full-wave bridge rectifier type RCA color TV set power transformer. And I mounted up, I think, 4 of the very healthy electrolytics and diodes, and put a full-wave bridge rectifier around there and got about 800 volts. And did the, I don't know if I put bias in there and vary power, but the audio, was all fixed up and all that. And I'll tell you, Mr. Mayan, that's a good working little transmitter, 15 watts and plenty of headroom.
And by the way, a special announcement of public interest. W2VJZ says, okay, fine. Those that continue to belch into their microphones are committing verbal pornography.
No,
Being done a mess.
And the ghost of IFR says, quote, I hate this frequency. You and your MSDS club. Who are these people?
Why do they listen and not partake? Get an antenna up. Get a respectable signal. Come on here. Tell us to our faces what you like and don't like. Don't play keyboard warrior on FEF's thing as you're sitting in your parents' basement making a freaking comment. I mean, come on, guys. Grow up.
Yep, well, oh, God. Where was I before I got lost? Yep. Yeah, well, don't you know what MSDS stands for, Clark?
Nope.
Well, Bill IFR was a very divisionary character. And a number of the guys that hung up here, like Uncle Willie, W3DUQ, Dave, K3ZRF, Gary, then N2INR, a few other guys, Bert, WA3JYU, everybody just moved out of the window because everybody had their advanced, and Bill didn't. So they got down on 3733. Around 5 o'clock, they had what they call the What's for Dinner net. And, it's just it was just the old crew. And Bill was pissed off. So MSDS, he referred to them as the MSDS group. And in other words, my shit don't stink.
Aha! Wow. So whoever posted that's really in with the in crowd.
I suppose. Now, getting back to those RCA color TV set power transformers, when I moved up here, they had been around too long. My friend Stess, K1WXY, was living in Demetburg, Mass. He had his own marine radio business. After I got shit canned from being chief engineer at WMLO, he took me on as a bench tech. I worked with him for a little while, and he had this Good Buddy linear amplifier. Yes, a Varmint XL750. I mean, that thing had 6 LF6s in parallel, driven by 3 6KV6s. Had 2 power transformers, and one of them was missing because it burned up. They were paralleled up. So, I think I paid Stess $75 for it. You know, with a whole bunch of spare tubes, and they were all good. So I was wondering what to do, and I brought the thing to the radio station in town. I'd been working there for a while, and had quite the setup in the workshop, and I was still fixing CB radios on the side, so I set the thing up, and it's like, well, let's see what it does with one transformer. So I hooked up a Good Buddy radio to it, and fired it up, and it worked. And I figured, well, a couple minutes here or there just for testicling, I'm not going to burn up the transformer. And I had a watt meter. I was seeing about 250 or 300 watts out. You tee up, you know, the modulation kind of looked like crap, and you'd hear a crinkle, crinkle, crinkle as all those 6 LF6s were starting to get a little red in the face, and then you'd unkey, and then you'd hear it go crinkle, 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 and cool down. So the way I thought about it is like, well, the filament load is substantial. So where the missing transformer was, being that it was the type that was a half shell where the windings on one side went through the chassis, I put a metal plate there and mounted up an RCA color TV set of the voltage doubler type, which would handle the usual current that would be drawn. So that provided filaments, put a bridge around it, and used that as like a 200 volt booster voltage. I got rid of the 6 KV6s and just directly inputted to the 6 LF6s. So I probably had about 1100 volts on those things. It was back when 10 meters was really beginning to open up. Back in the later 70s. So I brought that thing home, and I had a Junkston Navigator. I don't know if you've ever seen a Navigator. It's a rare piece. Actually, I got 2 of them in my station here. Strictly a CW transmitter, a 160 through 10, including the Good Buddy band. And it 6146, I think 6CL6 oscillator, no doubler or buffer, and the famous Junkston VFO and grid block key. So I turned the one I had to an AM transmitter. I got a solid state of the power supply, and in the octal socket I put a 6EA7 in there, which is a dissimilar dual triode in an octal package. It's much like a 6DR7. And in place of the 6X4 bias, I hogged out the hole, put a 9-pin socket in there and a 12AX7, and where the mode switch or the function switch is, I very carefully drilled with an 1/8-inch bit a hole right through the knob center and through the shaft. I put a little tiny 1/8-inch piece of, I don't know, maybe it was a piece of 632 all thread, and on the other side I had a bracket and like a 500K pot. So that was the audio gain. I modified the function switch a bit. I added extra contacts so that I could put the thing on there, put push to talk, and it made a whopping 5 watts out. That was my piss weaker, and I would drive that Varmint XL750 with it. Then I get 75 or 80 watts out. Like 10 meters. That was the Channel Master, this WA1HLR.
I I can't believe there aren't throngs or thongs of ops wanting to jump in and axe about that.
Nah, people don't care anymore. They'd rather have their solid-state store-bought amplifier rather than taking some old piece of crap. Well, as it was, I had the thing for like a year or two, and there's a guy I met on CB who had a Wazoo FT101E, and he had to have the thing, so I sold it to him for $200. I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe he killed it.
I gotta look up this Johnson Navigator. It sounds like it was what, like a Ranger without the modulator?
Yeah. Well, you've seen the Junkston 6 and 2, right?
Yes.
Exact same size cabin. And the VFO, like in the Rangers, in the center. With the Navigator, it's off to the right side. I got 2 of these Navigators. They're very rare. And one of them I've already put push-to-talk in it and the screen modulator circuit. And, it works. I haven't had the thing going in years.
So, wait a minute. So who would those be marketed to? I guess not, back in the day, not novices because they had too many ham bands on there. So, where did that fit in?
Oh yeah, novices could use them. Like any of the other Junkston gear. There's a crapstool port where you can put 2 crapstools in there.
Yeah, but novices were allowed on all the bands?
No, they weren't. 80 and 40 and 15. So you just put the appropriate crapstools in and select the band switch.
All right, gotcha. Wasn't it 40? Oh, darn it. See, because now I had the first rig I ever built was an HW7. That's right. Brace yourself, everybody. A Heathkit HW7. And I believe that was 40, 20, and 15, but those should have all been novice OK bands as well.
Yep. I had an HW8. I think it was an 8. And I gave it away. When Glenn Bastard... Remember when Glenn Bastard used to reign supreme?
Yeah. K-Man. Yes. Well, didn't he have several iterations? And then he sort of like slowly faded away.
My pee stinks, Clark.
He wasn't all that strong, but boy, he just pissed me off because he's only 15 miles away. Well, he started getting broadcasting on 40 meters around 72, 42 or something. As that's somewhat of a miscreant frequency. So, out in the Hulk trailer where that Foco radio resides, I used to have an inverted L, which is gone. In its place is the antenna I'm on now. And I'd set the HW8 up there. I had this big-ass 12-volt wall wart that I connected to it, plugged it in, had a little tuner going to the inverted L, tuned it up, and I would just dump a carrier on Glenn's lower side. I would just plug it in and walk away and dump a 3 or 4 watt carrier on him and just leave it there. What I had thought of was having something where I'd have like 6 or 8 little transmitters scattered around all on top of Glenn Bastard. Even though I'm running that much less power, you'd hear all these little bleeding heterodynes. It's called death by 1,000 pinpricks.
You know, I found out the magic of CW at an early age. A friend of mine was out on eastern Long Island in the summer, and I was here. And we were getting into building these broadcast band transmitters. Oh, that's for another topic. But anyway, we ended up setting our VFOs just off frequency by a kilohertz from the broadcast stations. And I remember being on the phone back in those days at great expense with my friend, and I said, tune into such and such station and see if you can hear this. And so he tuned into the station, and I started sending out some, by the way, statute of limitations, everybody, some vague CW, and he goes, oh, is that you? I hear it fine. I said, you're kidding. That's like 5 watts. And he goes, oh, no, I hear it great. And I said, well, send something back. Go find a radio station and beat against that. And he did. And we ended up having broadcast band QSOs. Man, it's amazing the stuff that I admit these days. Hey, everybody, that was back in the early 80s. And when BCG has the balls to say.
This WA1H yellow on, I think the shot one, so...
KD2BRM just wants to let everyone know that the asparagus is being sensed in my urine.
That's quite a message.
I guess I have the enzymes or whatever you said, Clark.
Yes. I'm speechless.
Not too often can one do that to the BCG.
Well, when you start talking about asparagus pea, I mean, it's and verifying it. That's what's the comeback to that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we were talking about 4 hours ago, and I just wanted to let you know that I guess it's cycled through with the assistance of the Genesee lights, and the first sign has revealed itself at about 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How's that for the FEF wall? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, SDR fans.
Maybe you're wasting this. Maybe you're flushing a lot of money down the system there. Why don't you put it in a jar and seal it up and put it up on eBay?
Oh, I could send it to a couple of places free of charge, but no, it's okay. We'll let the circle of life play its course.
Have you ever thought about selling urine for people who, their jobs like, a variety of jobs require their employees to take urine samples? Have you ever thought about selling yours for them so that when they, have to submit samples, they just use basically yours that they buy off of eBay?
I don't think that really works because I think there's like a whole temperature thing, and I don't know if there's another way to test for freshness. But, no, I never thought about it. I mean, mine is clean because when I do go to work, I can be tested. So I'm off tonight. That's why I'm never on at this hour. But I'm off tonight, not for the Super Bowl. Shut up, all you sports fans. No other reasons. But, no, I never did. I probably could. It's clean. It's good. Good stuff. Good quality stuff here. Being silly. I don't know. I don't even want to say. I was not even going to say what I was just about to say. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Enough. N1BCG, KD2BRM.
Yeah, don't give my call sign while we're talking about this juvenile nonsense. I was going to say, you could also, sell the clean stuff or whatever, and then at a premium price, sell the asparagus-tainted stuff, for like double or maybe 3 times. And you'd say, who the hell is going to pay extra for that? Well, people who don't like their employers. Yeah, here's my sample. Enjoy.
You know, I just wish I knew the nights that, you know, we were going to get tested at work, because I would make sure I overdosed on some asparagus for dinner. But, you know, hence the whole random thing, you know, kind of throws that off. I would just have to eat it every night, which gets a little obnoxious after a while. But anyway.
Oh yeah, that boiled asparagus, all stringy and stuff like that. It's like I don't know. I guess it would be like eating skunk cabbage every night.
It doesn't always get stringy. I find. I think when it's overly dehydrated, or it actually dries out in the package, or it's the ones you buy in the aisle in the rubber bands. You know, I've bought some bougie kind that was like packed in, you know, hard plastic, and even when you boil them, they get nice and tender. Even the bottom end, the root portion that normally is like guitar strings, is pretty good. But you know, I've grilled it too. It comes out really nice on the grill on tin foil with some olive oil, a little salt and pepper. Just kind of, you know, char it up. Get it all nice and happy, in the words of Emeril Lagasse, not the other Bela Lugosi you keep saying. It's funny, Charlie said he saw a commercial with Emeril and was like, oh my God, yeah, I do sound like him a little bit. It was funny earlier. Anyway, yeah, asparagus, weird vegetable, but I don't know, I like it.
Man, the only person there you mentioned I could relate to was Bela Lugosi. I still don't know who this other person is, but yeah. Oh, well, anyway, Timtron went away to go deal with chat issues. And I think I'm going to pack it in also here. Ernie, Ernie, Herbie, Hermie, how many ever different names you've got. I don't know how many IDs you have or passports when you travel, but all of you, next time you're on, you can say we, and it'll be okay. I can't believe we're having this conversation at 9:26 p.m. Can you imagine that? What's with the band? I thought we were all supposed to be flushed out at 5:30, 6 o'clock. But I gotta get ready for a couple of things for tomorrow. And rather than do it in the morning when I'm all groggy, I'm going to do it now while I'm wide awake. So I'm going to say the big 7-3. I'll listen out on your final, but have the finest business evening ever. And I'll catch you next time at on BCG.
Yeah, I've been back for a bit. I'm stuffing my face.
All right, I'll say a quickie to Clark there, and yeah, I'm hanging in here a bit, Tim. So don't go away. All right, yeah, I know. You know what's funny, Clark? Well, it's not funny. It's funny to me. It might not be funny to you or anyone else listening, but my wife, who has no knowledge or interest in the amateur radio hobby, had come down here before when you and Timmy were chatting, and I was explaining to her. Because we've been up to Maine, and she kind of knows, like, I kind of gave Timmy's location as Moosehead Lake, which I know you're not that close to it, Tim, but you're close enough with my wife's, knowledge there. And I was just telling her how, like, at this time of night, and that was, like, what, an hour ago, maybe even more? I was telling her how, normally I can't really talk to Connecticut and up near Moosehead Lake at the same time. And I said exactly what you kind of said, Clark. Exactly what you kind of said. Is it really exactly if it's kind of what you said? But you get what I'm saying. I said to her the same thing, that how the conditions on the frequency were so good that I was hearing Timmy, who was like 300 and change miles away, and you, who are probably 20 or 30 away, and you guys were equally good. And again, you're right. I got 928 on the computer screen here, and it's just crazy how it's still playing close and weird. So yeah, I don't know. Long comment to what I just reiterated what you said, but like 5 more minutes longer. But anyway, always good chatting with you, Clark. Never get to talk to you this long for this duration of time or whatever. But all good stuff, man. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Maybe catch you tomorrow afternoon, and we'll catch you when we catch you. Maybe you want to say a final to Timmy since he's back. I'll pass it over to you in case you still got a clock. 73 from KD2 BRM in the group.
Well, yeah. Have a fine business evening, everybody, and all those other folks who are lurking, skulking, or hiding in the shadows on 3873. See ya! N1B CG.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting is I was mentioning 4790. I tuned by there on the rice box and I can hear a signal of skipping over. So while I'm stuffing my face, maybe because you're further away, Ernie, try seeing if you hear a signal on 4790 playing tunes.
Okay, I can tune up there. I don't know how well the antenna is going to receive, through the configuration in the Johnson Matchbox there. But I could tune up. But I have an interesting thing too. Before you tune back away, Tim, or maybe you're listening on a different receiver. Earlier today, I ran into Eric on 7290, CAU Eric. And not under his signal, but there were times I was hearing that Canadian like time station, and they have a different sound from WWV, and I know they're not transmitting close to 7290, but there were times during the day I heard their signal riding in on other people's carriers in that 7285 to 7290. So I don't know if they have a spur or something going on. If you're listening, since you brought up me listening to a frequency, I'm bringing up you listening to a frequency, and I only noticed it because it was in like a regular, normal amateur band section. But I definitely heard that Canadian time stamp station in the 7290 vicinity. So I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
No, never had. I think they're up on 78 something or other. I've tuned them in the face. Yeah, maybe down your way they're putting in such a huge signal. I believe you're using SDR technology. And the front ends of those things are wide open.
4790 is bombing in here in southwestern Connecticut. Have a great evening, everyone. N1 BCG.
Well, there you go. Maybe a new home for miscreants. I'll see you later there, Clark.
Well, you're right about them being wide open at times there, Tim. Yeah. Getting back to your thing, the 4790, is that a station that's not supposed to be there?
No, it's BCQ. It's a license to be there.
Oh, it is? Okay, so you could just... Where are they transmitting from?
Monticello, Maine, way up in the county, about 170 miles further north from me. And I don't know if you're Clark jumping in there, but he says it's quite strapping down his way.
Yeah, I could tune up there real quick. Like I said, I'll tune the SDR up, but I'm not... The Matchbox is out at the tower there, so I'm not going to retune it. So I'm going to untransmit. I'll go up to 4790. I'll give a listen, and I'll be back here in a moment's notice there.
All right.
You can copy me of that?
Just about there.
Roger, K2GFI out of Saratoga, New York. If the air conditioners will start getting up for this
Okay, Bob, you must have been in a dip. You're copyable now.
Roger, I'm on a 991 Alpha. I don't have a PC developed or anyone yet. Currently, the modulation is 75% in the negative and 25% in the positive. So you guys want to support me? That's all bad, of course. There's nothing I can do about these people at all. This smoke gets low and there's nothing really changed. Well, I'm looking for another radio source. I had a technical question I was hoping somebody might be able to help me out with. If you got a second. It's a real simple one. You're probably laughing at me asking, but it has to do with a Lions rotator box for your keeping.
No, I'm not familiar with the HD73. I know what it is. But it's not a very heavy-duty rotor.
No, but what they do is they've got a bipolar capacitor in there. It's run off of AC. They have a 155 microfarad, 50-volt capacitor that they use to run in two different pairs. Maybe checked out okay, but everything from the wire on out, it gets perfect green. Negative, positive, and run it that way across that thing, and let things pass through, and it'll work the same way.
Well, you'd need two, the caps would be in series. And, say a pair of identical, like 200 to 300 microfarads, 300 mic caps at the same voltage rating, and you hook them up either ass end to ass end or tip to tip. You could join the positives together, and each of the the negative would be either side. That's how you make a non-polarized capacitor.
Yori.
Two boxes. I'd like to put them both in the captain, but after I clean the contacts, I've already done on one. But I'm not going to pay $50 to do it, and then I can get away with it. I'm buying them out for the cheaper. And when you pay $30, I'm kind of working with more than they have to put in my 50 degrees. We'll have a decent radio and a decent
Are you using an amplifier, or is that just the bare bones rice box?
This is a bare bones FT991 Alpha. I think I'm running 25 watts of carrier, maybe. Looks like more like 30 watts of carrier. But as I talk, I can watch the needle get power inside of the communication. This is what I'm using today. Better. Like I said, everybody says I got negative polarization.
Yeah, well, yeah, for 25 watts, you're doing very well. With 25 watts, the wind really is to be blowing the right way to be heard, and especially with a compromised AM signal. Yeah, I've got a Wazoo. You had a 9.
Probably helps me pick up everybody north and south of me anyway, so it did work. 55 hours ago, it was much good as good as I can to the hand mic and the payment. And it did pretty good report. Good condition. I think it's a number of uniform names, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Skowhegan, 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 Maine, central Maine. About 50 miles due west of Bangor and about 35 miles due north of the state capital of Disgusta is where I'm at. So what'd you say that was? A 991 or an 891 or something like that?
I get good reports too. I get sent over some of the focus stations to me. I don't know what the signal is to you, but like I said, it was on the heat. I got cooling fans, extra cooling fans on everything anyway. So just being the same, I'll try to build a station as good quality. I was able to learn a lot of things.
Yeah, we keep doubling. I dropped the carrier and you're like halfway through. Are you hearing me all right?
Yeah, and my SDR, I just got a little close, and I should have it hooked up pretty quick, and going to be able to see
Now, what model is that? What did you say, a Wazoo 991 or an 891?
991 Alpha, the newer one.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. They have so damn many different model race boxes out there. It's like cars. A friend of mine bought me an 891, which is a small race box. Let me see something here. I programmed in a bunch of frequencies. Let's see. Alright, I'll see if he can hear the rice box.
Roger. Good.
Yeah, you hear the rice box here?
Is that your radio?
Yeah, this is an 891. This is a Wazoo 891. About 20 watts out.
It sounds better than your other rig, Tim.
It doesn't sound as well as the other station up here. And that's how I sound unfiltered on it.
Yeah, well, this thing is pretty pathetic. Anyway, it's just a demonstration.
Well, thank you for the information on the capacity. It's going to help out a lot. And, hopefully when we get it fixed by tomorrow, and then we get more busy towards my end stuff here, and what I can do the radio. International with it. It's small and it's only just enough to get 100 watt carry out would be nice.
Yeah, well, you know, this is about 90 some odd watts, almost 100 watts. Going into the antenna, basically a 75 meter dipole fed with open wire line. Not up real high, but, you know, it's there. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that to get the most out of AM, your transmitter must easily make 100% modulation cleanly. And if it doesn't, you know, that's a large part of the problem, along with very, very restricted audio. So, you know, I would think, you know, 25 watts, if you had something that modulated well and sounded a whole lot better, it would, you'd do a lot better with it. Well, you know what are floating around that there still are, that could be had at a reasonable prices, is a Yaesu FT101E or EX or EE, but not in stock form. You know, with the AM filter and the audio fixed, because when the audio on the 101E, B, or F, or EX is fixed correctly, it can be a pretty good sounding piece of gear.
Interesting. I've seen some of those for sale recently, and we have a handset coming up here in Saratoga called Flop 15. I've got to see if the guy a couple of this radio. One of the VHF radio, 160 watt. It's got a push button on the front of it. It's wide open otherwise. It's got a push button on the front of it. This supposed to do pretty well here in the system correctly. I can pick up one of those for $150 from my buddy's call. So I'm thinking about
What is it again?
a Switchcom, originally marine industrial type transmitting machine company, and it's 150 watts, and apparently it's pretty good on AM. It's got a push button on the front that puts you automatically into the handle. Otherwise, it's more wide. You keep the button out more wide open. We bought them at a handset somewhere, and they both work real well. They've got these great big connectors on the back of them. Like, push things with the first two actually. And one of them non-local because it's such a big radio. So I think that could be fixed up pretty good for AM. I'm just taking a guess. But it is solid state. There is no trees. So maybe better off if you want to drive or even the 20-wood, but the hybrid 20-wood would be good.
Well, I don't know of any modern marine rig that works well on AM. They're all inserted carrier AM, and they sound like utter garbage. At least the ones I've heard. And the older marine rigs that were crop still controlled, that were specifically AM, need a fair amount of work to, and they're basically It's like a giant CB radio that can be made to cover parts of 75.
Oh, Roger, yeah. I imagine you spoke from the board before, GER, Mount Albany?
Yeah, Bear, GCR. This is WA1HLR.
Okay, yeah, we talked before. I believe we have. They offered to have me come down to only 40 miles come down there and check out some of the equipment. And, he helped me out. This was trying to get me set up and this can be, trying to be flexible on AM. I don't want to be on AM and always be I would be fine for, and then as well as I possibly can. Mechanic work, electronics work, whatever. Eventually I know how to do the station. My dad did. It was all military equipment. Possibly, radio yet. And I was doing the track on my own. 2,400 pounds. That's what they were, I can't remember, a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a friggin' heartbreak. As once the gear like that is gone, it's gone forever if it's heaved out. Gone forever. But depends on, the later model Vietnam War era. Gear was all sideband anyway, and if it did work on AM, it didn't work worth a crap. And a lot of the earlier military gear from World War II on up through the early middle 50s that was specifically designed for AM. There's certain pieces there that would do a good job if fixed up. The thing is, there's no such thing as picking up a typical vintage AM transmitter, which a lot of people seem to refer to as boat anchors, and expect it to sound good. None of it sounded good. It all sounds like crap. All sounds like crap. And if this thing sounds good to your ear, it's because I completely rebuilt the modulator and made it a lot more capable than the original was. A lot of the old vintage gear really, are abysmal performers. In that case, AM is a doer's game. You don't buy it, you have to make it.
He had boxes of tubes and the whole cabinet full of cigarettes and cigar boxes. Any kind of part you want, he was coming, he got a lot. He bought a lot of things with him and TV tubes. So he always begged me to get a kilowatt transmitter right there. And he had business, he couldn't do maintenance and so forth and stuff. So that was all the time, depended. But when it happened, it was 2007. Long story short, I had no place to take it. There was a battleship and something receiver or transmitter that was dropped. Had a little window in the front, and I see the and the lid lifted open on the top of the glass phone guy. roughly 52 cores.
Yeah, that number you bandied about is not familiar to me. And I'm beginning to wind down, Bob. I'm going to head off to bed. And there are times where you're dipping down into the garbage. There's a cement mixer diddly down frequency, and that is kind of floating into the pass band a bit. Well, I'm using a military receiver from World War II, a BC 342, which is a nice wide receiver, works well on YAM, and it's one of a number of different pieces I got here, but I have it tied up with this transmitter at this point. So I'll see you later. I'm going to get out of here. K2GFI from WA1H and YLR.
Thank you so much for the information, and I'll play live. I'm your voice. We're ready to get it up there. Great. Have a great night, and I will talk to you guys soon, I hope. And so let me see anybody else copy with the CRTL. So, K2GFI.
Yep, have a good evening.